It's 9 o'clock at night. You finished the list. Every box you checked, you answered everything. You showed up for all of it, and you're sitting there and you cannot name a single thing that you did today that actually moved the needle in your business, something that actually moved it forward. So tomorrow you'll try to get more efficient. You'll time block it, you'll batch it, you'll finally hire the person that you've been meaning to hire for the last 8 months, and it'll all work for approximately 1 week. I want to tell you why it keeps not working, because it has nothing to do with your systems and everything to do with half that list not belonging to you anyway. So stick around for this episode of the Sallie Ogden Show. We're going to talk all about the fact that you are not busy. You're just still doing the old version of you's job, and you shouldn't be doing that anymore. I'm Sallie Ogden. If you're new here, a little bit about me so we can get to know each other. I spent 10 years practicing law because I was very good at it and because I thought work was supposed to be just a little bit painful. I've spent the last 22 years since advising women to build things, companies of their own, 500 plus of them to be exact. And I've realigned my own life 5 times, which means I have personally sat in the exact chair that you're sitting in and stared at a calendar full of work that I didn't want to do anymore and couldn't figure out how to put down. Here's what I can see from the outside that is probably almost impossible for you to be able to see from the inside. And that is that you're doing a job that you already actually got promoted out of. Actually pull up your calendar. And what you're going to see is that somewhere on it is work that you started doing when the business was much smaller, when it was one laptop and just a whole lot of hope from you. And back then, that work was correct. It was the right work for you to be doing. It's the reason that any of this exists, right? That you have the business that you have today, but you never went back and asked yourself whether it was still your work anymore. So what happened is the business began to grow, therefore the work got heavier, therefore you got faster at it, thinking that that was the solution, and nobody ever handed you a moment where someone said, okay, don't do that anymore. In a corporate environment, that happens all the time. Companies do this on purpose. They call it a promotion. And there's a title change, and there's an announcement, and somebody takes all that old work off your desk, and everyone agrees out loud that it isn't yours anymore to do. But you never got that because you're an entrepreneur. So no one is coming along to tell you that you got a promotion and you didn't see it. So you just kept adding to your plate and adding to your plate. So today you are holding probably 3 job descriptions, if not more, at once. And the woman who founded it, that's one of your job descriptions. You're also the woman who runs it, right? Runs the company. And you're the woman who does the work inside it too. So 3 huge jobs that you're playing every single day. And you're doing all 3 at the level of the first one, right? As hard and much energy and effort as you can possibly muster, you are throwing at every single one of those jobs. But here's the part that nobody actually says, and the part that actually explains why nothing you've tried has worked thus far. You know, some of the things on your list, I bet you've actually known this for a little while, they should go. They should be eliminated. And You might think this, but every time you kind of get close to cutting something off of that to-do list, there is something in your chest that says, no, I still need to do that thing, because that work is how you got here. That's the client that you took at the beginning when nobody was calling. That's the thing you do yourself because the first time that you outsourced it, it came back wrong and maybe it even embarrassed you. That's the piece of the business that your name is actually on. Cutting it doesn't feel like efficiency, it feels like betrayal. And I have watched brilliant women hold on to 20 hours a week of work that they hate for years because putting it down felt disloyal to the woman who built the entire business in the first place. You start saying to yourself, who do you think you are? Why do you think that this is work that is beneath you suddenly when it's the exact work that got you where you are today? You say things to yourself like, how dare you feel superior enough to stop doing this stuff? Remember that one time that you stopped and it made you feel like the business as a whole was going to collapse? That's what's going to happen again. Trust me. Those are all the terrible things that end up piling in your brain the moment that you want to start offloading some of these things off of your list, or that you decide that they don't belong there anymore. And we can't listen to that voice, because otherwise you decide to keep the work and you start to believe that all you need is a better system. But a calendar app, I promise you, cannot fix a loyalty problem. Every productivity tool ever made assumes that the tasks that are on your list right now are in fact the correct ones. And the only question for you is what order to do them in. But here is what I know. Your tasks are not correct. They don't belong on your plate at all. Trust me. So an efficiency tool that helps you do them faster and more often isn't what you need. And that is the whole issue that has been causing likely you and frankly many thousands of other women this giant problem. Now, I have 3 questions for you that are really going to help you understand where your to-do list sits. And this is the exact process that I run with my clients. They are the 3 questions that they need to hear. So I want you to get a pen. I will wait. Put me on pause, whatever you need to do so that you can write down these 3 questions, because they are the ones that you are going to start to filter your to-do list through so that you can realize that the efficiency tool was not what you needed. And really what you needed was an opportunity to evaluate the list as a whole and determine whether or not those items belong on your plate. Question 1 is, who put this on the list? I want you to pick 10 things off the list just for this week. And these are actual things. And I want you to write them down. And then now I want you to go one at a time. And I want you to ask who put this on the list. And there are really only 3 answers, and they are not equally common. Answer 1 is you this week. Someone emailed, you decided it mattered, and you added it. Fine. That's just work. Move on. This isn't the category we're looking for. Answer 2 is you, but a few years ago. This one's bigger. This is the work that you started, the work that you started doing when the business needed it, and the business stopped needing it, and nobody told you. Like the report you built when you had one investor asking questions. You still make it every month. That investor stopped reading it in 2023. Or you still approve every invoice under $500 because there was a year where $500 mattered enormously, even though it doesn't anymore. You're still at that checkpoint. This work was correct at a time. That's what makes it so hard to see is it was the right call when you originally made it. It just never expired and never got taken off of the list. Okay, answer 3 is somebody else. And this is the one nobody catches. So let me be specific about what it actually looks like. Your answer client emails inside 10 minutes at night on weekends, not because the business requires it, because at the beginning, that responsiveness level was the only advantage that you had. And you're afraid of what they'd think if you stop doing this. You sit on a call you don't need to be on because if you drop off, you're worried that the team reads it as you checking out. You redo the presentation deck somebody already made, and it was fine. You take the intro coffee because a referral partner sent it, and you don't want to be the person who says no to these things, but none of that is work. That's you managing what somebody thinks about you, and it's showing up on your calendar disguised as a task. So here's the test that finds them. Go item by item and ask who would notice if this stopped. If you can name a person, ask the second half. Has that person ever actually asked for this? Think about it. Almost never is generally the answer. That's the whole thing. The investor never asked for the report. The client never asked you to answer at 9 p.m. on a Sunday. She just noticed you did once and you decided that was the standard. So you built a promise that nobody requested, and then you kept doing it for 4 years past that date. And here's how you'll know when you found one of these tasks, because it has a feel to it. You'll get to an item and think, well, I can't drop that. They think I stopped caring about them as a client. That sentence is the red flag every single time. Circle it and move to question 2 then, okay? So question 2 overall is take those same 10 items and now ask a different question. If this never got done again, what specifically breaks in the business? Not it would be bad, not things would slip, and not it would come back to bite me. What actually breaks? One sentence with a real noun in it, and ideally a number too. Let me show you the difference, because this is where people cheat without noticing. So a vague answer is, if I stop doing the weekly check-in call, the team loses alignment. That's not really an answer. That's a word that doesn't really mean anything in this situation. A real answer is, if I stop doing the weekly check-in, Maria doesn't find the launch date moved and she orders the wrong quantity of items. That's a consequence. Named a person, named a failure, named a real cost that ends up happening. You'll find that maybe 3 of your 10 items end up surviving that. The rest, you'll sit there with your pen and there's just nothing on the other side of the question. You'll try to build an answer and you can hear yourself reaching for it. And that's the tell. When you have to construct the consequence, there really isn't one. I promise. That thing has been on your calendar for 1.5 years, and if it vanished tomorrow, the only thing that would actually happen is you'd feel strange about it for about 3 days. 3 days of feeling strange, that's the entire price. Totally trust me. Now, here's where I have to be careful with you, because this question has a trap in it, and it's the reason that I don't hand this out as a one-liner. Some of your most important work breaks nothing this week. If you stop calling your best 3 clients just to check in, nothing happens Tuesday. Nothing happens in March either. Then in October, one of them doesn't renew and you'll never know why. If you stop interviewing when you're not hiring, nothing breaks. Then you need someone in 6 weeks and you've got no bench to be able to pull from. So run it twice. What breaks this week? That's your urgent work. What breaks in 6 months? If this stopped today, That's your compounding work. So I want you to be able to look at both. And it's the stuff you keep pushing to Friday and Friday keeps not happening. So if the honest answer to this is to both of these things is nothing, then it's gone. It's not deferred. It's just going to be gone from the list. And I want to be direct about what you're going to find because this really honestly surprises everybody. The work that breaks nothing in either window is usually the work you feel most responsible about. And that's not an accident. Real work has a consequence attached. So it gets done by the deadline. This stuff with no consequence has nothing forcing it. So the only thing keeping it alive is kind of your sense of duty to it. And duty is a much stronger motivator than a deadline, which is why you've been carrying it for 18 months. So don't be shocked if you feel this sense of duty of following through on things that frankly don't need to be on your list anymore. Okay, question 3. Now, I want you to take whatever is left. There should be about 5 or 6 items that are left on your to-do list. And the last question, and this one kind of hurts a little bit, I'm not going to lie, is this mine because only I can do it or because I've always done it? There are 4 real answers, and only one of them means that you keep it. 1, only you can do it. This is smaller than you think. It's the work that requires your judgment, your relationships, or your taste. The pricing call, the hire, the client who only stays because of you, what the brand actually is, that's yours. And I want you to protect it. That's the work that you should be doing more of, and you're probably doing almost none of right now because the other 3 categories ate up all of your time during the week. Now, 2 is you're faster at it. This is where most of it lives, be honest. And I'm not going to argue with you about whether you're faster. Frankly, you are. You've done it 400 times. Of course you are faster. But let's do the math on what faster actually costs you. Say you're at $250,000 in annual revenue and you work a normal week, call it 2,000 hours a year. Having had to bill that many hours each year as a lawyer, I know just how hard you're working for that many hours to be productive. So that puts your hour at about $125. So you want to be at $1 million, same hours. Now your hour is worth $500. So every hour that you spend on something that you could pay $90 for, you're not saving money. You're buying a $90 service for $500 because you didn't want to have the conversation with someone else to teach them how to do it. You're paying more than 4 times the value of the service to avoid having to tell someone else how to do the thing. Faster is real. It's just not cheaper than training somebody. It stops being cheaper the moment that your hour is worth more than the task, which hint is likely right now, trust me. Okay, 3, you've always done it. No reason, no decision. It's just been yours since 2019 and nobody revisited it. I hear this all the time. This is your fastest win, and you'll find 2 of these today. 4 is maybe you like it. Hold that one. We're coming back to that one in just a minute, and it's really important. Okay, now the test, because could someone else do this is the wrong question, and it's been why you've been stuck on this whole thing in the first place. The right question is, could someone else do this at 80%, and does the missing 20% actually cost me anything? For a client proposal, that 20% might be the whole deal, so you want to keep that item. For formatting a report, scheduling something, a first draft of anything, chasing a vendor, creating a spreadsheet, cleaning up work, The 20% costs you nothing. Nobody has ever noticed. You've been paying $500 though an hour to protect a difference that no client can actually ever see. And here's the sentence to listen for, because your own mouth will tell you the answer before your brain does. You'll get to an item and think, it's faster, you know what, if I just do it myself than explain it to anyone. That sentence is not a fact about the task. It's a fact about a conversation you don't want to have. And notice, it never expires. You've been saying it for 3 years about the same thing. If you spent one afternoon explaining it in 1 year, you'd have gotten back that afternoon 40 times over. One more, and this one's sneaky. Some of you already hired someone and you're still doing the work that they should be owning. It goes to them, and then that work comes back to you and you redo it and you send it out. So you have added a step to your process now, and you've kept the work. That is not delegation. That's supervision with extra typing. So if you're approving every single output, you didn't hand off the task. You handed off the typing and kept the whole job to yourself. That is why it still feels onerous and debilitating, frankly. Which brings me back to answer 4, the work you like. Now, the hardest part, and this is the beat that everybody skips, some of what has to go is the work that you love most. And that's okay. That's why this is hard. If it were all just the annoying stuff, then you would have probably done this 2 years ago. But often the thing that you have to hand off is the exact thing that made you want to build this business in the first place. And the hands-on part is part that you like, the part where you're actually good at something and you can feel it. And that feels like a real loss. And I'm not going to talk you out of feeling it. I'm just going to tell you that keeping this work costs you the next version of this business. And you get to decide if that trade is worth it or if it's not. Some women decide it is and some don't. So that's a legitimate answer. And I've had clients choose on purpose and say, it is not worth it to me. I want to do this work. But the point is that you should be choosing it. You don't just drift into it. I want you to actually take the time to determine if this is work that you should be keeping or if it is keeping you from that next version of the business that you really value more than anything. Okay. I worked with a woman in New York who had a clothing brand, still has that clothing brand. She came to me with $56,000 in annual revenue. She had no plan. She was working constantly and she really wasn't profitable. And so she needed my help being able to get out of that position. Her first year with me, she ended up doing $400,000. By year 3, she hit $1 million. And I still see some of her pieces on the red carpet in New York and LA. And honestly, it gets me emotional every single time. But the work that got her to 56,000 was not the work that got her to $1 million. At some point, she had to stop doing the $56,000 job and decide that she wanted to do the $1 million one. And that's the whole thing. That's the entire hinge. She changed where she spent her time and her results changed with it. And yours will too. If you keep doing the same thing, you will continue to get the same results. And isn't that really the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing and expecting things to change. So I should tell you what this show is, because I run everything on one framework, and you're going to hear these 3 words a lot moving forward. When a woman's life stops fitting the one that she built, there are exactly 3 moves that she can make. And I call the whole process success realignment. And when you are reevaluating where you are in your business and what work you ought to be doing, right? Sometimes that is rebuilding. Sometimes you are realigning, and sometimes you are rising. So rebuilding is obviously when you leave and you build something new. Realigning is when you stay and you fix what you've already got. And then rising is you stay in the exact same business and you become the woman who can actually run it at the next level. Today was that third one. It's all about you rising to the occasion and rising to that new level that you deserve to be operating under. Most people will try to sell you one of those three as the answer for everybody. I don't do that. My job is telling you which one is actually yours, and I can usually see which one is standing in your way or which one you need to be focused on before you can. So it's kind of the thing I'm known for. So do me a favor, go back to the calendar that you pulled out earlier and realize that you're not behind. You're not bad at this. You are one of the most capable people in any room that you walk into, and that is exactly why this happened. You could carry all of it, and so you did. You built this, and you were right to build it, but you don't have to run it this way forever. Every hour that you spend doing the old used job is an hour that the woman who could take this business further never gets to have. So just think about it that way. Okay, look at what you just did to 10 items on your to-do list. Now imagine the whole list. That's the actual problem, right? You can do this exercise once on a good day with 10 things, but your real list is 140 items long and it lives in 4 different places and half of it is in your head. And at 2 a.m, you remember a couple more things you need to add to the list. And the part that makes it hard isn't the questions. Now you've got the questions. I've shared those with you. They're yours. Keep them, use them as a tool. It's that you get to item 47 on your list and you go, I don't know. It could be mine, it might matter, and there's nobody sitting there to say, no, that one's gone, move on to the next. And that's exactly why I built the founder filter. Because I don't think that you need another person telling you to delegate more. You need a way to look at everything sitting on your plate and decide, do I need to do this now? Is this even mine to do? Does this need to happen right now? Or does this need to happen at all? That's what the founder filter helps you be able to do. You take the things that keep eating up all of your time and you run them through this filter. Do now, not me, not now, not at all. No giant list of things that you should delegate someday. No vague promise that you're going to work on your time management. In this, you actually make a decision about the work that is on your plate. And then for the things that are not me, it helps you figure out how to get them off your plate without creating an even bigger mess in the process. And there's also an AI tool built into it, so this doesn't have to be something that you use once and forget about. The next time something lands on your plate and you immediately think, oh, I guess I need to handle this, run it through the founder filter first. Because the goal isn't to become more productive at doing everything, it's to stop doing everything. The founder filter is just $97. I put the link in the description and the pinned comment. It is going to blow your mind. It is going to feel like I am sitting right there next to you, helping you evaluate your entire to-do list when you use the AI component to it. It's mind-blowing. And it's gonna help you change the way that you structure your week. And that is what is going to open you up so that you have an opportunity to change your business forever. I want you to look at your list right now and ask yourself, what am I still doing that shouldn't belong to me anymore? And I want you to tell me in the comments what that is. I want to know. If something is still on your to-do list and you know it doesn't belong there, tell me about it. I want to know exactly what that item is. Okay. If something in this episode landed for you, if you felt like that thing in your chest of recognition, maybe when I was talking about the 147 items on your to-do list, I want to hear about it. So make sure to subscribe, and so that you never miss another episode, you always get to see what's coming, and that you put something in the comments about what you enjoyed in the episode. That way I can make sure that I keep it going. All right, thanks for joining me on this latest episode of the Sallie Ogden Show. I will see you next time, because we're just getting started.